Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Roger Williams' penultimate episode. This is the second to last episode of the series.
Well, I'm honored to be here.
And I am joined today, my favorite co-host, as always, Julie.
Oh, yeah, I've only been on one Roger Williams episode, I'm sure.
Yes, so Julie will be joining me. You may know Julie from the Barbarossa episode. Or I think you were in Mystic too, right?
I was, but I mean, when was the last time you actually posted with that series?
Okay, way to call me out on that.
Start the episode by calling you out, yeah.
But today we are going to be basically kind of wrapping up the, I guess, top right-hand corner of the zoo map. So I thought I'd start out today by kind of doing a lot of the background area of the Faces building. So this is a lot of the area that I didn't have a good reference point for. So this is where I had to get really creative with looking at a bunch of random background images and stuff of random scenes that I had from several different time periods and seasons. But basically it is the kind of backstage employee parking lot. So probably could have contacted any of the actual employees that I know and said, hey, how's the parking lot look?
Yeah. Can you just send me some photos of the parking lot RQ on the DL, please? Thanks.
But I decided to get creative, and so I did a mixture of Google Earth, like the top-down view, and just kind of figured that out, and then used my best judgment to kind of figure it out. The good news of this is I don't think anyone would even care because it is a backstage area, and that no one is going to look at. When you're looking at the zoo from a recreation standpoint, I don't really imagine there would be that much, interest in what the employee back parking lot looks like.
Yeah.
But I still tried to get it as good as possible. As you can see, I struggled significantly to get this stupid hill right. So when they built Faces, they decided to terraform this entire area to have this really long hill bridge that kind of stretches from the beginning of Faces all the way down to the admin building. And and it's all very geometrically sound terrain. So I had to get really precise with trying to clean up the terrain and stuff. This is sort of, I know everyone's making dioramas lately, and so this is sort of like that. I had to kind of clean up the terrain to make it all fit nicely within this 90-degree box.
It's a good final product. It looks really decent. It looks nice and clean.
Yeah, exactly. And so the majority of my time was just using the plaster pieces. Now I should mention this is 16 times speed right now. So this is it takes a lot longer than it probably looks right now.
What, you don't work at this pace?
So it's already I'm saying it probably looks slow even on this camera, but I promise you it was a lot more slow, getting this to look right, because it just had to be so precise. Yeah. Even though, as I mentioned before, not a single soul actually looked in this area. But, I thought I would include it because a lot of people are going to be wondering,
for accuracy purposes, do what you got to do.
Yeah, well, not just that, but, a lot of people would have been like, whoa, what the hell? This is, you made this giant area and, you didn't even address it or something on the series, so I recorded it anyway and just thought I'd throw it in here. I will say this is like the penultimate episode, so actual content-wise, this is the second to last exhibit that's in the zoo.
Yeah.
But I do think I might do one final episode that's kind of just touch-ups and stuff. That'll just be kind of revisiting the zoo as a whole and just seeing what areas I need to just kind of touch up generally. I know I want to fix up the monkey habitat right here, as an example, right next to where I'm building. I didn't have chain link for the roof at the time, and now that I do, I think I'm going to touch that up, as well as the other chain link, the gibbons and the snow leopard and stuff. And so I think that will be the plan, hopefully, but, for the most part, it's okay. Again, I can't really say this is the most interesting portion of the video, even though it's quite a significant part of it, because this area is, like I said, that kind of backstage area that not many people even would think about, because I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a backstage area here because I bypass it every time.
Could have fooled me. I didn't know either.
But like, yeah, there's a whole building right next to this that I didn't even know on this hill. But right here, I am just vaguely mapping out the back parking lot and just doing everything that I normally do with like on top replica, just basically mapping everything out with terrain where I'm eventually going to put stuff, and then I work it in the best I can. But what was interesting that I was trying to figure out here is this area, I can pull up a reference photo, is kind of covered in this like black mulch, which doesn't really look like anything that is currently in the game.
Is that the mulch that's like kind of squishy that I hate?
Kind of. So it's like that, but like it's like normal like wood chip mulch, but like dyed for some reason.
Well, I mean, all mulch is usually dyed.
True, yeah. But like obviously in Planet Zoo they only have like the normal brown mulch or whatever if you wanted that. So what I did that I thought was kind of a clever technique, I asked a bunch of people what they wanted, but I think my solution was probably the best, was everyone's using the top or the bottoms or tops of the faux trees for like cliff sides and stuff, and I'm like, you know, it actually has kind of a rough enough texture that it kind of works as mulch. Yeah. So it actually doesn't look too bad, and because it's FlexiColor, I was able to get it to look slightly different from the asphalt that's next to it, but like...
Well, it looks like that spongy, like, mulch texture that, like, you know, it does look like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I tried to get it as close as possible. Now, the other thing is, it's on a hill.
Yeah.
So I wish this was like a paintbrush or something that I could just do, but no, I decided, nope, I have to do this all legit. And then this was me just kind of carving out the building that's back here, which again, like I said, no one ever sees. This building is like so hidden behind foliage and stuff that most people don't even notice it's here. I have no idea what its purpose is. I have a feeling it might be just some kind of office building, or maybe there could be like some electrical work or something for faces in it. I don't know if they have like the heater and cooling system or something.
That makes sense.
And it's just linked up to the building, but I just tried to get it, you know, the best I could. Obviously, again, it's on a hill, so I had to kind of like change that up. Like this back area right here, I'm pretty sure is just like an electrical box type thing, but I tried to get it as best as I could. And then I just basically brute forced the entire fake mulch. So I just got giant clumps of the logs and just kind of oriented them the best I could so that I could eventually fill the area with the like dark, you know, black mulch and stuff. And then here I'm just quickly adding a roof. I didn't do any detailing on the inside for obvious reasons. I have no idea what's in it. I have no idea what this building is even used for. So I hope everyone doesn't mind. This is literally just a shell of a building.
Whatever you want, whatever your heart desires.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just literally
DIY.
Like I feel like if this was back at the beginning of the game, I would have probably like filled it with some kind of like just like Animal Trade Center or something, just because, or like maybe like a keeper hut or something, just to like keep it somewhat functional. But the reality is it's useless. Like no one would ever like go back there.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's linked up to a path, like a traditional path or anything. I think you might be able to access it from that little side road that I mentioned, but past that, you know, it's weird. And so I tried to get, you know, the terrain as decent enough as possible, just to make it sort of make sense. And then I had to, once again, since we don't have big oak trees in this game, I had to use Brazil nut trees because they're the only tall trees that actually work somewhat well.
Big oak trees do exist.
They do exist. Like I literally can't stress that enough. That like I can't believe whenever people like say that, like oak trees don't get to be more than 15 feet tall. I'm like, bruh, have you seen what the Northeast looks like? It's literally like, I'm not even being hyperbolic. Like our trees can easily get 50, 60 feet high.
Okay, but like, to counteract that, when we went to California, like I didn't realize that there were different types of palm trees until I seriously got there and was like, why are there some short palm trees? Why do these look different? So I mean, I guess if you're not from around here, it can make some sense, but
yeah, exactly.
But they do exist.
Yes. So I actually got a little creative here. So obviously there's a lot of like smaller underbrush and stuff mixed with the bigger trees here. in this mulch area. So I tried to do a lot of like custom foliage work here. So what I did was I used a lot of like sunken in trees and stuff to get like little branches growing out of the ground and little bushes and stuff. And then I kind of used a little bit of the Africa pack logs and stuff to kind of make brand new like tree trunks and stuff. And then kind of made a lot more like unique shapes, because I feel like a very common thing that you see in a lot of like real trees is that they'll have like 2 or 3 tree trunks growing out of the same area, like right next to each other, and they'll kind of branch into like one canopy or something. Yeah. So I tried to like replicate that the best I could. And then what I'm doing right now is there is basically this like I guess rope fence that goes along the entire faces area. And so I just made it out of just the standard rope pieces. I debated using the Africa rope for a second, but then just ultimately just did that. And then this was one of the easiest yet most tedious parts of the entire like area, was just going around and placing every individual fence and just, you know, placing them accordingly.
Why didn't you use Africa rope?
So the Africa rope, it just dips a little bit too much inward, where it kind of looked weird, because obviously the real rope in real life has like a little curve,
slight,
but
curve.
It's so close to like a straight curve that I was like, it's probably just better to use these. Not to mention, I think the sizing was off. Like I think these are 2 meter long ropes versus the Africa ones I think are like 1 meter or something.
Gotcha.
But so this was fun. So I had to figure out which would be the most appropriate for there's like a telephone pole that has the security cameras for the zoo, because this is obviously like the admin section and stuff. So what was funny is I could use the in-game security camera and sync it into a pole, and it actually kind of works like what it actually looks like. And then this is another thing that I didn't really like. Again, it's one of those things that you never notice about the zoo when you're just like going through it. But yeah, they have like this basically like gate that like lets like different trucks and stuff through to get to the like admin parking lot. So it's kind of actually interesting like that. And then obviously it says like it's something along the lines of like do not enter, or like not public access. But now we are finally getting to the fun part of the episode. So this is going to be the actual like main portion of faces that we left off after the anteater section. So what I wanted to start with is right outside of the anteater enclosure is this beautifully disgusting art edition.
Oh, I know.
That they added.
Trust me, I heard you complain about making this thing, and then you called me over and were like, look at what I did. Yeah. Look at this thing.
Because it was such a pain to do. Because it's basically, I'll pull up another picture here, but it's basically this weird, like, recycled plastic art edition that's kind of used as like a triple bench area for like the little small section where you can look at the flamingos and the anteater and stuff like that. But it's like made out of like a bunch of recycled plastic, kind of like you'd see like a sea turtle choking on or something.
Yeah, it looks like mesh, like netting.
Yeah.
But it's plastic, and it's just like, it's such an odd shape.
And so because it's such an odd shape, it's like a triple like tube that curves inward. I had to get really creative, so you might see I'm like kind of like messing up a lot, just trying to get the shape right, but I eventually get it in a pretty good position. So basically what I had to do is I had to make a cube out of the mesh pieces, which gives me a kind of a tube that's kind of green. Then I made another tube that kind of made like a big donut essentially, and then once I had this donut, I basically flip it on its side, and then I just used one of the halves of the donut, or quarters of the donut, to kind of split it into 3 pieces to get like the kind of tri look. And from there, I was able to kind of work in those benches and stuff. And that was also its own challenge, because these benches are actually slightly angled, and they're kind of like a octagon. Yeah. So octagons aren't the best for making stuff in game because they have to line up perfectly evenly and stuff. So I struggled a lot getting them right. But I tried my best to kind of like line up the benches the best I could. I tried adding a little detailing. I was going to add little like rivets and stuff to the actual area. But like you can see like where I think I'm doing good. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm adding all the detail and stuff. I was trying to find some like wooden pieces that are like really flat that are flexicolor, but there was nothing really that close. When you're talking about like getting details this small, it's really, really difficult to pull off. And so you can see me here, I'm realizing, oh, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like trying to figure out how to make this into like an octagon.
Last-ditch effort type stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and like these are all like fine in concept, like, you know, for like, oh, these are cool like abstract benches and stuff, but they weren't accurate to what I needed. So I just kept trying and trying and trying. Eventually I got a really good thing. Basically, I was on like a call and they were like, okay, you have to do the math. Basically, if you need to find the correct size of one individual plank on its own, so you can see me doing that here. And then if you just line it up perfectly to see what an octagon would be there, so like that's about right for an octagon, you can then build off of that.
Yeah.
So I used that as a base. It was just slightly over the size of one individual piece on its own. And then basically I just kind of designed the fence the best, or the benches the best I could. And then from there, I just had to do a slight modification to get it the right size. But yeah, as you can see here, I just had to kind of nestle it in a little bit on each side. But I actually got that nice octagon shape.
Is awesome. It looks really good.
And then the only beauty of this entire build is because all of the benches are the same, I was able to just copy
paste.
Yeah, copy the entire thing.
Get it done right once, and then you can just copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so this was fun. So what I realized here is inside of the big art piece and stuff, they have a bunch of like fake fish and butterflies and stuff. And what I realized very quickly, apparently out of all of the crazy gutter piece animals or implied stuff that like Drac or ZZ or any of these people have made, they don't make fish at all. So weirdly enough, Drac made like 3 fish or whatever as a base, and so I just kind of had to custom make all of these things. So I had to like, luckily he did the butterflies. The butterflies were very useful.
Yeah.
But for the fish, like clownfish or something, I was really surprised. There's no clownfish or like blue tangs or anything on the workshop. So I just had to like use the handful that were available to me from Drac, which again is only like 5 fish, and then I just had to make some custom ones. And then from there, I think I actually got a really good, result. The final thing was they basically just have these like weird like cut out leaves inside of the base of the art installation, and that was it. So from here, the next thing was just kind of decorating the rest of the surrounding path area. So this area is, I think when it was first designed in concept, they were trying to turn it into a park of sorts. And then for some reason, I don't know why, they decided, no, this is no longer going to be a park. Like, it started out as a picnic area, and it was supposed to be like an area where you could just like lay blankets down and like eat and stuff.
Yeah.
But they did away with all that. They blocked the whole area off with fencing, so now it's just kind of this big empty field with a tree in the center. An actual good oak tree that is relatively short, that actually the in-game trees worked really well for, but otherwise it literally has no purpose.
I mean, that seems like kind of a waste, considering like they could definitely use the extra space that isn't like picnic tables like you have at Nourish 401. Like you could just do something with it. Yeah.
Well, especially like obviously like the thing that every zoo person would say is like, make it into an exhibit, and you probably could. You probably could justify it to be some sort of smaller outdoor iguana exhibit or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Maybe an outdoor radiated tortoise habitat or something. Or not radiated, but like red-footed or something.
Yeah.
You could do something of that nature. But right now, it basically acts as a little cut-through. If you don't want to go and wait in the line inside of faces, you just use this little cut-through. Julie and I do that quite a bit. And just go straight to the anteaters and the flamingos. So it's kind of nice for that aspect. So if you don't want to go inside the really, really hot tropical building in the middle of summer.
The line is too long sometimes. Yeah. I don't have the patience.
Yeah, you just cut through and you can look at the anteater and flamingos and stuff. But past that, just kind of decorate the little area. I had a few reference photos to cover up this area, but again, it was pretty self-explanatory. It was just placing down more of that mulch and then calling it a day. So that is basically just about everything that comes with this area. But in a few minutes, we're going to finally get to the kind of meat of this episode, which are the flamingos.
Oh, yes. Great.
So, do you even know what kind we have?
I want to say American, but I feel like
we do not have American.
Okay, yeah, because they're not super pink. So,
no, they are... I'll give you one last try.
I don't know the name.
We have Chilean flamingos.
Okay.
So, they are the kind of flamingo that are kind of like... You're basically kind of stereotypical flamingos. They're like very pink, like light pink.
Yeah. Well, aren't American flamingos pretty vibrant?
Yeah, like American flamingos are like more of like a reddish color. Yeah. They're like a reddish orange, kind of like coral, I guess you could say, or like salmon or something.
That's a good way to put it.
But yeah, like Chileans are just kind of your like, blush pink type color.
Run of the mill average.
Yeah. And so they're probably the most common that are in zoos, but they're probably one of our low-key favorite exhibits.
Because it's always like dinner and a show. Like, it's so entertaining because all they do is fight. All they do is scream.
Yeah, like that's just the thing about flamingos is they're birds, which means they are just the most obnoxious things ever, especially to each other.
But like, I'm entertained because I'm sure all of you know, like, our hatred of peacocks.
True.
And how absolutely painstakingly annoying they are. But, like, we could listen to, like, flamingos squawk and, like, fight all day because it's entertaining. Yeah. But, yeah, like, I think it's entertaining.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I love watching the flamingos, especially, like, for a while I felt bad because we actually recently had our first flamingo born at the zoo in over 20 years, and so not too long ago, so he was kind of gaining, he's at the point where he's basically full grown now, but for a while he was just bullied because they knew he was the youngest, because he was like
young, he was small, he was still pretty gray, and like had black feathers and stuff, like he was still pretty young, and yeah, he like couldn't go near any of the food bowls, he just was bullied out of there.
Yeah, and I felt I felt really bad, but now he's finally an adult. He can kind of like fight his way to like, be with the rest of the flock, or the flamboyance. That is what a group of flamingos is called. But at this point, I will say I need to discuss a thing that I feel like I've been wanting to say for a while about Faces, and that is we really downgraded our flamingo habitat. So if you look on Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever, you will see what our old flamingo habitat looked like. And I'll pull up a picture. It was a very heavily covered in foliage, naturalistic flamingo enclosure. It was not netted over. It was just a simple wooden fence. Now, all the flamingos' wings were clipped, so they weren't able to fly or anything to get out of the enclosure. But I do like that aesthetic a lot more because it was a lot more naturalistic and it looked a lot more in place than this one. So this one is not bad.
It's just okay. Like,
I've grown to like some of the design decisions as I was doing the recreation. Like, I actually did see they did put quite a bit of effort into like making some faux rock work and stuff with the actual pond, which the old one didn't. It was basically just a natural pond that was already there, and they just had the natural forest of the area and didn't really do much with it. But I do appreciate this area like a bit more now that I see all the stuff that they actually put into it.
But compared to like other ones we've seen, like, I mean, to go back to California, do you remember how bad it was? And how many we saw? I forgot if it was at SeaWorld. It was, yeah. It was, shocking. No shock there. Everything's bad. But, yeah, we saw, like, all of them just clumped on that one island, and they were, like, packed in there. Like, I mean, this is alright in comparison, but...
Yeah, exactly.
like, this makes it look really
significantly
nice,
better.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, obviously, like, I like the more naturalistic, like, aesthetic, so I miss that old one. And it's funny, like, you can actually see here, like, what I'm building is some of the only real true, like, South American theming that is in the kind of faces of the rainforest complex. So, like, I will say they tried a little bit. Not enough, I think, where, like, you wouldn't be like, this is clearly a very, you know, industrial, modern-looking exhibit type thing.
Yeah.
But they actually did try their best. Like, they have little bamboo fencing and thatch roofs for the flamingo indoor holding, which I've never seen them actually use. I think it's only going to be used for winter, because from what I can tell, whenever we were at, like, late night events, the flamingos were still outside. So, to my knowledge, I think they just kind of hang out there throughout the night as well. I could be wrong about that, but...
I mean, we were there pretty late at night. We were there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, or even like, I think, yeah, like, not even when we went at like 9 o'clock, it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like a weird thing. But what I'm working on right now is actually the, I kind of bypassed it already, but it was the outdoor hyacinth macaw habitat. So it is actually kind of this little area that they have for the macaws that during the summer months when they don't want them indoors, they can just kind of let them out onto this little kind of treehouse looking thing on the outskirts of the Faces building. And they have little signs up and stuff because they can walk across the rope, and a bunch of people are like, oh, can't they fly away? But it actually says that, no, their wings aren't clipped, they're actually just trained.
I actually just noticed that rather recently. Like, I was just looking up, and I was like, oh, they have, like, little lines.
Wires, yeah.
Wires that they can go across. I thought that was cool. I thought they were just, like, in the box.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's funny, though, because, like, yeah, a lot of people go, like, oh, my God, their wings are clipped. It's like, well, no, they're just basic, because the thing about parrots is they are domesticated.
Yeah.
So you can train them, and, yeah, they just know that.
Okay,
so long as you're, even though you can fly, when you're outside, you can only go along the wires. And it's like, okay. And they seem to obey that. They like to hang out in the little AC, like, you know, treehouse looking thing anyway. But, you know, for the most part, it's there if they want. Now, here is the biggest pain I think I've ever done, and why I am dreading to doing the snow leopard and gibbon and stuff. So the entire area for the flamingos, like I mentioned, is their new enclosure is actually netted over. And so now, for instance, the baby that we were mentioning before is the first flamingo ever that's at Roger Williams that's not going to have its wings clipped. So hypothetically, he will be able to fly. And because of that, they netted over his habitat, which is kind of is a good thing, because, like, obviously, cool, you don't have to clip their wings, that's nice. But on the other end, it's kind of like, great, now I have to do this giant chain link. And I am very fortunate we have the chain link pieces, because this would have been absolutely awful if I had to use the lattice pieces or, like, any of the other techniques that I've used in the past. But this wasn't fun either, because it's not like a flat roof like some of the other ones. It is this weird, like, look, like it's a very abstract shape that has a lot of, like, bends in it and stuff. It's very geometric, but it doesn't quite work exactly with the current Planet Zoo square chain link pieces. I wish we just had some triangular bits or something. Like, I that's obviously probably too much to ask, because we have a lot of chain link options, but it would just be nice if we had, like, some triangles, or even, like, I know this is crazy, but, like, one individual chain, like, that I could just manually make smaller, weirder shapes. That would be awesome. So I would definitely be cool with that. But past that, you know, I'm just kind of wrapping up the enclosure. I tried my best to get the seams as non-noticeable as possible. I think in the end you wouldn't really notice it, because obviously the chain link kind of disappears after, like, 2 LODs away. But for the most part, I think it works out pretty well. The main thing that you notice is, like, the panel. Yeah, the pipes. As long as they were looking good, that was all that pretty much mattered. So, you know, that all lines up decently well. I tried to get it the best I could to the angle, and then just kind of, once again, covered up the area, and then that's basically it. And then from here, a lot of people were probably who have been to the zoo will notice that I haven't done the signs of around faces. Trust me, I will get to those. Like I said, that's probably gonna be in the touch-up section. I have a bunch of billboards that I have to include in the zoo throughout the entire park, so I think I'll just do all of those at once when we get to that episode.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really know if there's anything else to say. This has been a long episode, a little tedious episode. I don't know if it was semi-relaxing. I know some people use my videos as a podcast for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, what works.
Yeah, but, you know, this is just, it was a nice relaxing day. It was...
Relaxing lo-fi Planet Zoo mod.
Relaxing for them.
Yeah.
For me, like I said, this is one of the most stressful builds I've had to do.
I know, I heard you.
Yeah.
I heard you complaining, I know.
Yeah, this is, I think, 7 hours of building, give or take. 7 or 8, and, like... It doesn't seem like it, because it's in a nice, compact, you know, half-hour format. But, yeah. But, without further ado, I mean, the habitat is basically done, so you should be seeing the Chilean Flamingos, which, by the way, download our Flamingo mod pack, a little plug there. In the description we have all of the flamingos, and especially the Chilean Flamingo. But it also comes with some props and stuff, so that's just a little shout out. Leaf and I worked on that together. He did all the flamingos, well, except the Chilean. I did the Chilean. I wanted that one. But he did the rest of the flamingos, and I did the props. So thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and stay tuned next time when we finish up the zoo, essentially.
Woo.
Finally. So, bye everyone.